Good day and welcome to Your Right on Trust TV, a program dedicated to educating and empowering you with the legal knowledge you need to understand and protect your rights. I am Hauwa Usman, your host, and today we are addressing a topic that has sparked significant concern among motorists in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. Hackney permits are AMAC officials harassing motorists in Abuja. Recently, several motorists have raised complaints about Abuja Municipal Area Council road enforcement officials stopping vehicles, demanding multiple documents, including Hackney permits, and in some cases, imposing questionable levies on private vehicle owners. Is this enforcement legal? Or is it a form of harassment and revenue exploitation? What does the law say about Hackney permits and the powers of local government officials on the road? To help us navigate the legal aspects of this issue is Barrister Isyaku Saleh, a distinguished legal expert specializing in transport and regulatory law with over 14 years in the legal profession. But before we delve into the discussion, let us hear what motorists within the Abuja Municipal Area Council are saying about this issue.
I think harassing is understatement because it looks as if FCT now is a lawless city. Before the coming of this present administration, AMAC paper was between 10,000, 11,000, 12,000. That was 2023. But immediately this government came in, it skyrocketed from 12,000 to 30,000. That was last year. And it's not everybody that can afford that 30,000 at a go. And it's not something you pay instrumentally. Then, this year, from 30,000 to 50,000 naira.
The problem we are facing in this Abuja mainly is just tax force people, like AMAC and some other tax forces that is stopping in the streets, even in the road. Okay, especially if we say that we have a local government as AMAC to represent Abuja, I believe that the work of AMAC, they are supposed to, the revenue generation is from people who trade, who do business, bringing ticket to those people, they will cut ticket at least to survive the people that to support the road or some things within the villages that don't have anything. But today we see that the AMAC work has become a very terrible work, become like a police or a soldier work.
Yes, let's begin by understanding the basic. What exactly is Hackney permit and who is expected by law to obtain it?
Okay, in order to understand what is Hackney permit, I think we have to go back to the legal framework that established it. Okay. In Federal Capital Territory, for instance, it is established by the Federal Capital Territory Road Transport Regulation 2005. So in that regulation 2, it actually did not give definition of Hackney permit, but in attempt to defining what is commercial motor vehicle, okay, it make category of Hackney carriage, state carriage, and other motorcycles for commercial purposes. And under schedules to that regulation, the category of motor vehicles that obtain Hackney permit are taxis, kabu, and other transport service for commercial purposes for carrying goods and services. So we can simply say Hackney permit is a license that authorizes motor vehicles to be used for commercial purposes for transportation of goods and passengers for hire. Okay. So from the underlying word commercial purposes, it indicates that private or vehicles used for private purposes does not need Hackney permit. So it is only commercial vehicles such as taxis, car for hire, and trucks and other categories of vehicles that are used for commercial.
By law to have Hackney permit.
Yes.
So in essence, it is commercial vehicles that are expected to have Hackney permit.
Exactly.
Thank you. That's okay. So based on the law, do the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC enforcement officers have the right to stop and fine private vehicle owners for not having the Hackney permit?
Okay, that question too, we have to go to the law itself and see whether they have the power to do that.
Is that the law that you have mentioned
yes,
earlier?
the Federal Capital Territory Road Transport Regulation 2005.
Okay.
It was made by the then Minister of FCT, Nasir El-Rufai.
All right.
And it is the same FCT administration that established Directorate of Road Transport Services.
Okay.
And also empower them by that law, by that regulation, to enforce, to administer and enforce the provision of the regulation. Now, by that regulation, if you look at Regulation 19, it provides that the directorate shall issue to any vehicle certain category of license.
Okay.
Under Regulation 4. It categorizes different set of license or permit that will be yes. So for every vehicle, it has to be registered. Under Regulation 4, there are categories of vehicles that can be registered. Under that particular Regulation 4, there are categories of commercial vehicles that are supposed to be issued Hackney permit. So since it is Directorate of road transport services that are vested with the power to enforce the provision of the regulation, AMAC is constituted as a local government.
Okay.
Under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, Section 7 of the Constitution, and if you look at Schedule 4, they are at best constituted as local government. So they don't have the power to enforce the provision of that regulation. So they don't have power to go on the highway to enforce the provision of that regulation by asking motorists to register or to provide their Hackney permit. So they don't have that power to do that.
So do you mean that they do not even have the powers to ask even commercial vehicles on the highway?
When you have the power to ask, it means you have the power to enforce.
Okay.
Now, since the law did not empower them or vested them with the power to enforce the provision of that law, it has already designated the enforcement to the Directorate of, let's say, to simplify it, FCT VIO to enforce that law. Then they don't have the power to ask motorists to provide or to register a Hackney permit with them. They don't have that power.
Wow.
Yes.
That's interesting to know, because reports suggest that AMAC charges up to 65,000 naira for harmonized vehicle documentation in the Abuja, while the same service costs less than 10,000 naira in neighboring states. So do you see this as an abuse of power for revenue generation within the local government, AMAC as it is? Okay,
the issue of harmonized fees for registration is ridiculous. It's ridiculous in the sense that when they don't have power to issue in that regulation, they also do not have. They don't issue vehicle registration. They don't issue vehicle license. They don't issue third-party insurance. They don't issue roadworthiness. So it is only VIO, FCT VIO that issue all these category of permit or license. So I don't understand what it means by harmonize when they don't have the power to issue any. They don't have power to issue any. So the issue of harmonize or charging people for harmonized
vehicle documentation,
they don't issue any. Which one did they issue? So they can't charge.
But they do issue to commercial vehicles.
Yes, there is a particular permit they issue. Because when I said they are constituted as local government, they have power to make laws, by laws.
Yes,
so they have what is called Abuja Municipal Area Council bylaw, for instance, bylaws on loading, offloading, parking space, and all that. So there is a particular law bylaw they have is called mobile advertisement bylaw.
Okay.
By that law, no one is allowed to use a vehicle that has a personalized painting or logo or sign or anything that would portrays advertisement without obtaining permit. And in that mobile advertisement bylaw, they make it an offense for one to operate any vehicle with that logo or sign or any mark that indicate advertisement without obtaining a permit. And under the schedule to that bylaw, there are categories of vehicles that have different amounts as fees. For cars, bus, and that category is 20,000. For delivery van is 25, but the maximum is 40,000. Now under section, I think section 5, I think so, of that bylaw. Of the bylaw, yes. When a person use any vehicle with that logo without such permit, then on conviction he will be asked to pay 3 times that amount. So we cannot say they.
So when you say on conviction, which means that
you have to be taken to court.
It's the court that determines conviction.
Yes, he has to be taken to court.
So the people we see on the way are not even the ones to put the fine on the.
They are not. They are not.
It is the court, as it is.
Yes, it is the court. So when one is convicted for neglecting to obtain the permit, then he will be asked to pay 3 times that amount or 6 months
that
imprisonment.
The person failed to pay.
So we cannot say that if we see them on the road, simply because they are on the road, they only came out to enforce Hackney permit. It depends. So if a vehicle is carrying any sticker or any logo or any personalized painting that suggests advertisement, then they can ask for that. They have the power to do that. And if one has known, then he can be charged to court for that. Yes.
Okay. For motorists watching this, what are their legal rights if they are stopped by AMAC officials demanding the Hackney permit?
Yes, as I said, they don't have the right to issue. They don't have the right to enforce. And they cannot ask motorists to provide same because it's not within their own power to enforce. However, if a motorist is asked to provide one, the motorist should know their rights. Yes, they should know their rights, and they should know how to approach, because approach also matters. These guys you see on the road, they don't know anything other than aggression. You see some of them with sticks. So they are ready to fight. So approach matters. But insist that they don't have the right to, and if they have any law to that effect, they should present to you. Or if you don't mind, you can follow them to the office and go and argue to a person that is sensible, that can understand you, because they don't have the right to. They don't have any bylaw that provides for the issuance of Hackney permit, and so they cannot charge one or harass anyone for not having. However,
that takes me to my next question, because there is another troubling scenario where you see some hoodlums physically assaulting motorists to the extent that sometimes they drag the steering wheels with them, even switched off the car engine, requesting money from motorists. Are they also with AMAC?
There is one problem. Because the problem is we don't know who is with AMAC, who is not with AMAC. But presumably they are with AMAC. Because even the bylaw itself, there is a problem. AMAC has the power to engage individual or group or company to enforce the law. So assuming that they are there to enforce that advertisement, mobile advertisement, let's say within their own competence, they are there to enforce. When you engage people that they don't have a complete sense, that thing is bound to happen. So I transfer responsibility to the AMAC itself, because they don't have people that are responsible to enforce the law. That is wrong. You cannot hold someone's steering, or it is wrong.
And engage in a scuffle with someone driving a vehicle.
It's wrong. There is no justification for that.
So in such circumstances, what can motorists do?
in such circumstances, you are not to behave as they are.
Okay.
Yes, you have to behave reasonably. As I said, manners of approach also matters. When you see these kind of people, they don't know anything other than aggression. It's a matter of speaking to them in a manner they can understand.
Yes.
If they insist to go to office, follow them to the office. Go and talk to somebody who has a sense of understanding. And of course, there is also, when this thing becomes more and more numerous, there is need for the court to intervene, because if a matter is taken to court for interpretation and injunction is granted, then that can also help in a way to reduce that harassment and molestation, so to say.
So, but what do you think the government should? Is government doing something about this kind of people? Do you see that there is a need for these people to be educated as to what to do on the way? What's the government doing about that?
Of course, their behaviors justifies that, yes, they should be educated, or they should be selected, the educated ones among them.
Okay.
There is no justification for engaging people thoughts to come and enforce this kind of law, because the people that are enforcing the law on, they are sensible people. Sometimes you see they stop even private vehicles.
Yes.
For no reason.
Yes.
So there is need to educate them.
Because I've seen situations where people driving SUVs, people driving cars like Sienna have been stopped on the way.
Yes, exactly. Unless if they have stickers. So some they do not even have the stickers, but they still stop them. So there is need for the AMAC to engage people that are educated and train them well on how to be approaching people. I think that will be better, and people will understand them more. Because people, they have different perception of this thought they brought to, because you will see them with stick.
Yes.
Some will even be panicking, what is happening?
Yes.
Yes. So I think it's wrong on the part of the AMAC to engage any kind of person without really screening those responsible that can enforce the law.
Yes. So what do you think the government should do?
Well, we cannot say that the government is ignorant of what is happening. Of course, they are not ignorant of what is happening. And it is a repeating call for them to do the needful. Otherwise, I think there is one thing that will force the government to do what it's supposed to do when the matter begins to go to court. Because when I say that they are aware of all that is happening, they are not willing to address the situation. And we don't want a situation whereby it will get to a point that somebody will even lose his life, because these thoughts are ready to do anything. So government is aware of all these things, but they are not ready to do anything about it. That's the honest truth. So except if the motorists or even the taxis, because when I say that the Hackney permit are not issued by them, so they don't even have the right to even stop even commercial vehicle transport. So they have their own unions. So they should take the matter to court to seek for an order for the court to intervene.
Okay.
Yes.
So how effective is the monitoring and evaluation unit of the Abuja Municipal Area Council in ensuring that sharp practices by its officials are reduced to the barest minimum?
It's absolutely ineffective, because there is nothing that will show that they are even existing, if they are actually. Because if they are existing and they are doing their work, we are not supposed to be seeing this kind of recurrence of harassment and all that.
Yes.
So I don't think if there is any monitoring, even if there is, they are not effective
They are
at all.
not effective.
Yes.
They're probably not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
Okay, hold your thoughts right there. We'll be going for a short break. You're still watching Your Rights on Trust TV. We will be taking a short break, and when we return, our discussion will be back. Now, going forward, are there criteria for recruiting these people that we see on the street before they are engaged in enforcing the permits that you have talked about?
Well, within the bylaws,
yes,
as I said, within the bylaws, you will see that the Abuja Municipal Area Council has the right to engage individual,
yes,
group or company for enforcement of the bylaws. So it depends on what criteria they place when engaging the individual, group, or company. It depends on what are the criteria they place. But whatever the criteria might be, there is need to place a criteria that will ensure that a sensible persons are engaged for the enforcement of that law. So there is no particular provision that says these are the criteria.
Okay, in the bylaw there is no particular criteria mentioned for recruiting any of these people.
There is none.
But it is essential that people who have knowledge of carrying out this enforcement are recruited. So what legal action can a person take if, for instance, he is stopped and extorted by these people?
Okay, the legal, when you say the legal action, is absolutely to file a case in court. Yes, because when you say legal action, it's automatically indicating that one has to go to court and claim for his right. Okay. Yes, they don't have right to stop a private vehicle and ask for permit. They don't even have the right, even against the commercial motor vehicle, because they don't issue any permit. So it's just a matter of manner of approach, and if that fails and it gets to an extortion or harassment, then one can go to court and claim for his right. And he can go to the extent of claiming even against the AMAC, because they are agent of AMAC. They act for and on behalf of AMAC. So whatever they did to a person or to a victim, they are AMAC is responsible for that, because it engaged them to enforce that law without training them, without getting a particular category of persons that are very sensible to know the respect of human person. So is there, they will be responsible, definitely. So one should just file a case in court and seek for redress against the AMAC.
Against AMAC.
Yes.
Okay. So, but what categories of documents will be expected from a motorist, whether as private vehicle driver or a commercial vehicle driver, for instance, if you're stopped on the way? Okay,
as I said, there are different categories of vehicles based on registration under paragraph 4 of the Federal Capital Territory Road Transport Regulation 2015. So it depends on what the law provides of a particular category. But generally, if you are driving a private vehicle like I am, that one I know, you need to have a vehicle registration, vehicle license, third-party insurance, roadworthiness. I think these four are very essential, and you need to have them
all the time.
Yes, all the time.
Yes. So earlier you've talked about people seeking redress in court.
Yes.
And a lot of Nigerians out there might not really be comfortable with going to court, because for some people, they really don't know how it operates. And then for some people, they really don't have the confidence that they're going to get justice. So as a legal practitioner, what advice will you give to such people?
We don't have any avenue other than court. Whether people have confidence in court or not, we don't have any avenue to ventilate our grievance other than the court. Now it's a matter of your right being violated, or you are harassed and all that, and we are looking for a way to go and enforce your right. You must go to court. It's inevitable. It's inevitable. But then there is sometimes there used to be public interest litigation. Yes. So some lawyers can carry out such task of going to court and seek for interpretation of the law and injunction against them. Now, they don't need to suffer any special damage for that effect if they are coming under the umbrella of public interest litigation. I know MBA has such a committee for that effect. Yes. So for those that do not know their right and do not know how to
go about it,
yes, exactly, they can reach MBA and maybe
that's Nigerian Bar Association,
and Nigerian Bar Association, and file their complaint. When that is received by me, I know they will not take it lightly. They must do something about it.
Okay. So, but are there other organizations that you could report to?
There are many organizations.
Okay.
There are many organizations. Any legal organization like Mulan, I know they are organizations of course of lawyers. that that can carry out that sacrifice.
Okay, let me interject. For instance, can they make reports at the Federal Consumer Competition Protection? I mean, it used to be the Consumer Protection Commission. Can people make reports to FCCPC or to some other organizations? Like the Public Complaint Commission?
Yeah, public complaint is better, but consumer protection, I don't think if it is a matter that can go to public complaint, the consumer protection. Yes, okay. I don't think that is one of the area but Public Complaint Commission, they can receive such complaints.
Okay.
They can receive such complaints.
Okay. Yes. Against the authority, which is AMAC.
Yes.
Understanding our legal rights helps us stand up against illegal enforcement and unlawful harassment. To our viewers, if you have experienced harassment by any official on the roads or have questions about your legal rights, reach out to us. We are here to keep you informed and empowered. Join us next time on Your Rights for more insights into the laws that protect you. Until then, stay safe, stay informed, and be empowered. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.